So I guess I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my experience at Pine Lake. Pine Lake or Pine Wood? Pine Lake. Pine Lake Church. Lake. So the experience itself was really awesome. Like the whole concert style, how many people there were, like the band and the lights. It was awesome, and how there was water on the stage too by the baptism ceremony.
Did they have? Did they baptize it?
Yeah, yeah. So we saw that during the second session. Um, People didn't seem as friendly there. The first two people that I met, they kind of seemed a little guarded, but after you talk to them a little, they start opening up. And I talked to this woman about how she renewed her faith after realizing that she lost God during the time she was with her husband, and then they divorced, and then she needed to find her way back. So that was a really interesting conversation that I had after the first session. But I think afterwards, I talked to two people. One of them was a pastor, and he kept on referring to people who weren't Christians as unsaved, people that were unsaved. Mm-hmm. I forget what his actual term was, but it just really rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, they're just humans. And when you refer to them as people who needed saving, it felt like he was this higher status of people that says, "Oh, you're not saved, but I hope you'll find the light soon." And it just didn't feel right. Um, but other than that, it was a pretty uh, it was a pretty productive conversation. We talked about evolution.
Oh wow, that went well.
What were your thoughts on it?
I found it interesting that they find microevolution okay, but not macro. Like they can see how people grew taller, they can see how birds grew longer beaks or diversified, but they say that macro is not understandable for them. But yeah, they go back to design. They don't understand that design is like you can design from one thing that creates into many things.
Sure.
But
I'm surprised they even give that kind of a conversation because it's.
But they started using a lot of scientific words that I couldn't discuss because I wasn't familiar with.
Something I hear people say things like what you just said about using the term unsaved. I've heard that a lot in my life. I've heard people refer to evangelical Christians as being arrogant or being off-putting. Like you said, my thinking about that is that every major world religion believes that they're the only way.
Right.
They're the one way. So my argument is that I don't know why people have a problem with evangelicals because if you truly do believe that your way is the only way, what kind of awful human being would you be if you didn't try to convince other people that this is the way? Mm-hmm. That's one of my problems with Islam is that Islam is not considered evangelical. Neither is Judaism. Yeah. They may be in some instances evangelical, but or be outreaching, I guess is what I should say. But at their basis, they're not. And that bothers me because if they really are, if they really believe that they're the only way, then how little can they care about their fellow human beings if they're not trying to convince other people that.
I think the basis of Islam is that they believe in many prophets, and Jesus was one of their prophets.
True.
And so, in that sense, it's not about being the one religion, it's more about following their cultural norms, which is different than religion.
Well, maybe to some degree, but they still do believe that following the teachings of Muhammad, the final and one true prophet, is as I understand it, is the way to heaven. So like I said, it's not, I don't mean to disparage Islam or Judaism. I'm just saying that they think they have the only way, just like Christians do, and yet it doesn't seem like they're really trying very hard to convert other people. It's more like if you want to convert,
You mean Islam is not trying to convert?
no, it's certainly not one of their tenets. They're fine if people want to convert.
The thing is, you can't unconvert once you. I guess sin is to rescind your faith. So that's the big thing. I think Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. I mean,
Well, it is, but there's a lot of reasons for that. But my point is that they're not.
it's not part of their tenets.
It's not a major part of their religion to outreach to
Right.
people who are unbelievers and try to convince them that, and that is a major part of the evangelical Christian church.
Mm.
But anyway, that's just my thought about it. That, I have no idea what the guy said or how it came across, but
I have two thoughts about that. One was that not just this pastor, but also the guy that I talked to before. I felt like when they started talking about this religion and the gospel and the three ways of the gospel, was that the term of it?
the Trinity,
Yeah. I think.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
No, they're talking about design, sin, and then resurrection.
He was talking about how sin was over here and God was over here, and then there was a gap in between, and that was sin, and how the cross, belief, Christianity was the only way to cross over from you to God.
It's a super simplistic way to explain it, but
Right.
That's
He
the
gave us-
ideas.
Right.
you probably didn't know he was talking about conversion. Grasp bigger picture.
Well, she had maybe a couple words to say afterwards. She was like, "Go to the car. I'm going to talk to him."
Yeah. I've noticed that both of them, when they start talking about it, I guess it's because I spend so much time reading people and feeling this connection that when they started spitting out these facts, the whole human connection was lost. Like, I didn't feel connected to them. I feel like they were just in their own world of very strong facts and beliefs. And there was no way for me to, like, the bridge between me understanding them was kind of almost cut.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm not a big fan of the kind of outreach that. And let me say this: you may have gone up and asked him about his faith, and he began to tell you about this. So it's probably why he was doing that. I don't know what he's like in general, like how he goes up to people that don't know him, or that he's trying to talk to about it. But I'm not a big fan of that kind of outreach, where you go knock on someone's door and say, let me tell you about Jesus. That's fine if you want to do that, but I think the real work of the church is in getting to know people and building a relationship with them.
Right.
And then see your faith,
Right.
lived. And then either ask me about it or at some point you tell them about it. But it's, if I didn't believe, somebody came knocked on my door and said, and I don't believe it, but somebody came and knocked on my door and, I thought was not a believer and knocked on my door and said, I didn't say about Jesus. I'd be like, I don't know, man. Maybe you could have get out of here, please. So that's
Because
my
then
thought.
it'd be like strictly preaching instead of conversation. Conversation is when two people are invested in it. Whereas one
Okay.
person talking at you.
Certainly can be.
I really liked what you said was when he was talking about facts and beliefs.
Yeah.
It was off-putting, and I think what you keep going back to is